some coffee cake. Hey.
Just about everybody that I'm friends with has had some sort of interaction, relationship, flirtationship with an officer.
Yeah.
Did you as well?
I did. So how about the SOS?
Ooh.
No?
Are you talking about the snot?
No.
You're talking about the snot gravy.
Maybe, yeah.
Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance on hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys are doing good. Rude. Let me just turn that off there. Okay, so today I have my girl Alex with me, and before I introduce her, let's just see if we can get her here real quick. So, good morning. This is my friend Alex. This is Pookie. We're gonna call her Pookie. Pookie Duke. Act like you love me. Act like you love me. I'm so mistreated. So mistreated. So we were friends in prison as well as after prison. We went to the women's home together, and we have still been friends ever since then. So well over 10 years. We've been out 10 years. So it's about 12 years now.
Yeah. She
lives in Texas now with her family, her beautiful family, and she is doing amazing. Great. She's got 3 babies. And yeah, I mean, we're like we used to talk every day, but we've gotten kind of busy lately, so not every day, but you know, it's just even if we don't talk for, let's say, a year, which doesn't happen, we would pick right back up. We're that type of friends. So how long did you do in prison?
3 years. 42 months. Yeah,
42 months. So first, I think I told you guys before, if you saw in another video, that I had a friend that had a situation go on where I'll just let her tell you guys the story. We're gonna go with this first story, and then we're gonna talk about some other things too. So let's do it.
So this is the craziest prison story that I have that had to do with me, at least. I've been there for, sorry, I'm saying
It's okay.
I've been there for probably 3 months at this point, and just super green, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what I was getting into. And I heard from a friend that there was a girl who had something happen to her in a back room with an officer. So naturally I hear about this and I'm pissed, and I'm like, something needs to be done about this. Everybody else is just quiet. Nobody wants to speak up about it. And I, again, being green, and then again, just being who I am, defender, want to speak up for someone who is not willing to speak up for themselves. So I put in a request to speak to the warden about this, and everybody's like, oh man, you're gonna go talk to the warden. It's scary. I'm not scared yet. I'm just thinking, no, this is what has to be done. They're gonna want to hear about this, right?
I can just see you now, like you're all like, I'm gonna report this. This is wrong. I'm gonna report. Don't worry, I'll report it. And everybody else is like,
right. Like I said,
let's see you do that.
I was green. Like I said, yeah. I was green. So I fill out this request to go see the warden. I think I probably put some details in there what I wanted to talk about. I definitely told another officer what I wanted to talk to the warden about. So word gets to the warden. They pull me out of the dorm one day. I'm walking across the thing. I'm still confident, right? I'm like, I'm standing up for these people, and this girl, she's hurting. This thing happened, whatever. So I get in there and I sit down, and she asks me why I'm there, and I tell her the story, and she says to me, she looks me straight in the face and says, are you lying on my officer? I'm like, no, this happened, and you know, something needs to be done about it. And then she says, if you ever bring this up again, I'm gonna sue you for defamation of character. Just squashed immediately. So I'm at that point scared, right? It's like hitting me. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. Right. Like, this lady's gonna sue me. What am I doing? I gotta spend, you know, I did 42 months, so it was like 3 months in, right? I'm thinking, okay, I gotta keep the peace here. So I go back to the dorm, and you know, knowing what I know now, right? I would have been like, girl, like if it was me now, I'd be like, try me. What you gonna sue me for?
Right.
Like, what do you, I was scared though. And that's a lot of the problem is they fearmonger people into being quiet about the things that happen because they're so in control.
Yeah.
They're not going to do anything about it.
Right.
This kind of stuff is going to keep happening and they're just so in control of the situation. So anyway, I mean, nothing ever happened. The officer never got in trouble. The girl never got justice. I mean, it was just like, we had to sit back and watch stuff like that happen. And now it'd have been like, girl, sue me. Like, you ain't gonna get nothing. But the problem is, even if I would have said that, nothing would have been done about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, you gotta be on the outside to make something happen
Yeah.
about that. You cannot be inside because the officers, even when there's nice ones, they have each other's backs. They're not there for you. They're not gonna protect you. They're supposed to be protecting and serving, and that's not what's happening. It's not what's happening.
Although with that being said, and I've said this a million times, there is always a few decent, you know, good-hearted officers, but unfortunately, especially where we've been, the vast majority is so crooked that either one, they end up getting run out, or they can't really do anything because all the officers have each other's backs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys saw the Sanford experiment on Netflix, which you should watch it, where these like, have you ever seen that?
No.
Where these inmates, it's actually a real experiment that happened years ago. They had, you know, they hired people to be inmates and hired people to be correctional officers, and everybody changed. And I mean, this was recorded and this was an experiment. I mean, most people are going to even act better on camera, and they still abused the inmates just because of that knowing of power. So when you're in there, and especially the warden, that's the highest of the high you've got in there. It's like the president out here, you know what I mean? And when they're like that, it's over, dude.
Yeah, because it trickles down. Nobody's going to argue with that.
Yeah.
None of the officers are going to argue with that.
And they scare you with that kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to sue you. Like, now you'd be like, what you going to sue me for?
You ain't going to get nothing.
You going to sue me for these 3 soups I've got? You know, but it scares you. And honestly, if you would have kept talking about it, they probably would have threw you in. They would have done you like they did me. They would have wrote you up for something you didn't do and kept you so contained and so miserable that you realize that it's easier just to keep your mouth shut. And that sucks.
It's conditioning.
Yes,
it's a form of conditioning, and it's definitely abusive. And I didn't realize that until a couple of years ago. It's only been recently that I've been able to use that word, abuse, and realize, okay, this was abusive. It was emotionally abusive. It was physically abusive for some people. It wasn't for me, but I have a lot of trauma from that time. Just being spoken to in a certain way, looked at in a certain way. I mean, sexual comments. Comments about my body, just, it was no different. It was no different than the streets. You know what I mean? Like, it was no different than that.
And the crazy thing about her is she was in the YO program. And if you guys, I will leave the YO program for the male's prison down below. If you guys haven't watched that, you should really check it out. Did you ever watch that video? I think you did.
Yeah.
With my friend Jake. Yeah. So, but she was in the female YO's program. So, and to everybody on the compound, they were kids, okay? Like, we were the adult side, so they were kids. So for the officers to make very inappropriate comments and looks and different things to them, it was like doing it to kids, okay? They all looked young. They were on an almost boot camp kids schedule. They were treated and looked at like children. So it's like, not to say that it's any better when they do that to us as adults, but it's almost sick to do that to them because they're kids, you know?
So the weird part about being in the YO program is that some of the officers, the lieutenants, it was like this weird father figure sort of thing with some of them, which is going to sound really weird to say, but you know, a lot of us came from broken homes, and then you have these male authority figures that are trying to help you, trying to encourage you. They did a lot more of that on the YO side, I think, because I'm not sure why. I guess, like she said,
they were considered kids. And there was a lot of kids. There's a lot of, you know, under 18. But in the YO program at Lowell, I mean, you've got them very young there. But so they are considered kids.
Yeah. But the weird part about it was that you had these father figure type of men trying to help you and guide you and set you on a straight path, but they would also make sexual comments to you. And so it was kind of like, can you trust these people? Can you not trust these people? And a lot of the time you just come up short and feel like you can't, because they would try to have a good conversation with you about something and you can do better than this and blah, blah, blah. And then they're making sexual comments to you, or comments about your body, or just inappropriate things like that. So it was this weird, like she's saying, we were kids. I was 21. There were younger kids than that there. I think you had to be, you got around that somehow.
I know.
Because you had, yeah, you got around that. I think it was 24 and under, right?
No, 21 and under for YO program.
No, because Jody was older than that.
Not when she got in there, though. She was 18 when she went to prison.
Well, there were...
No,
it wasn't...
It was 21, because I remember literally when I got there, they were like, how old are you? And I was like, 21. And the girls were telling me when I was on the bus right there, oh, you're 21? You're right at the cusp. Like, you're going to be in the YO program. Did you have your GED when you went there?
No.
I think that's maybe what got me through, because I got my GED, because y'all do a lot of school there.
Yeah, we had to do, I immediately got put in GED classes, which was a good thing about it. Like, that's one of the things that they make you do. So they're trying to help in a way, but it's still so twisted. Like, you can put this pretty little bow on it and say, this is a YO program. This is supposed to help decrease the recidivism rate. You can put them in programs. You can put them in computer classes. You can put them outside and put them in modality drug programs and all that stuff. But it was still just as twisted and just as corrupt. And it was just marketed a little bit differently, because, oh, this is something that's going to help you so you don't come back with A, B, C, D, E, F, G on your tag. And less people come back, but they're just as traumatized. Like, it's not helping people. It's still conditioning.
Yeah.
It's still shutting them down, shutting down parts of their personality, getting people to respond in a certain way. Corporate punishment. Like, if we were walking and one person mouthed off, we would get dropped. We would get dropped on the hot asphalt in the middle of summer. It's just weird. Just
hands burning, everything.
Yep.
So, like, as far as you guys like wanting to know the YO program, like abuse, as far as like what Jake was telling you guys about, it's still abusive. It's just abusive in a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, and girls are catty, and there's a lot of relationships in the prison period, but especially in the YO program too, because they're like, you got young kids in there, and they're, you know, which, not to mean that people aren't really attracted to the same sex, but it's just like, you imagine what it's like when you're driving down the street and you see about 10 little, you know, little thugs out there, little kids, and you know they're out there cutting up. Now imagine 300 of them together, and they're all, except for the small percentage of them that are innocent, which, you know, there's always people that are innocent no matter what, but they're all criminals, okay? And they're all young bucks.
Yeah.
It gets wild.
Yeah. Very
wild. So with that being said, let me tell you guys a little bit of Alex's backstory. She grew up in a very, I'm just going to say, not picture perfect environment, because I don't want to tell that part of her story for her, like probably most of us have not. And she did a lot of substances, was living a crazy life, and ended up in prison. Well, when she ended up in prison, she was off the chain in there too, like mentally not sound more than anything. Yeah. And ended up in the psych ward, what, 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, it might have been more than that.
So I'd like for you to tell them a little bit about what the psych ward is, because that's something that I haven't experienced, and they may, you know, want to know what it's like being in psych in prison.
Yeah, so I had a lot of just depression. I was a cutter. I was still throwing up my food, and people would catch me cutting. They'd catch me throwing up, or I would sometimes intentionally just do it. I had no problem hurting myself. It was an escape for me. So if somebody caught me doing that, I would be shipped over back to Lowell, the bigger, like, main women's
compound
prison. And I don't think they had psych at Hernando, which is why I would get shipped every time. So when they ship you, you end up, I mean, it's just she's talked about these little, like, vans before. It's just metal in the back, it's walls all in between, you can't see out any windows, you feel like you're suffocating inside of this thing. And with an anxiety disorder, it was terrifying to be in the back of that thing. As many times as I got transferred back and forth too, it was bad. So once you get into the psych part of the building, you're naked, completely naked. They don't want to give you any clothes because they don't want you to hurt yourself with your clothes. So they can't give you pants, they can't give you a shirt, because you can roll it up and wrap it around your neck. So they give you what we call the turtle suit. It's like this big like vest, like with all this Velcro around it, so you can put this turtle suit on, but you can't really move in it very well. And I was kind of crazy, so I would take it off and run around sometimes, and some of it was just shock value.
Were you in a padded room, or
it wasn't padded? No, it's like a regular cell, but there's nothing in it that can, like, everything is molded to the wall, the toilet. I mean, there's nothing that you can take out, get down. You don't have sheets. You have a mat without any sheets at all, because sheets are a hazard. You don't have shoes, nothing.
Are there cameras in the rooms?
No, there's no cameras, but they would walk by a lot. There might have been a camera like outside that could see at the window, but there weren't cameras in the rooms. But they would walk by and check on you all the time. Food, I don't remember exactly what the food was, but we didn't have utensils. You couldn't have anything that you could hurt yourself with. So it was just humiliating, even though in my case, I put myself there half the time. The other half the time, somebody would run and say, you know, Lexi's cutting herself or whatever, and I would get shipped. But it's just like a different level of humiliating, I guess, because you're in this thing naked. I mean, you get there naked. You're just sitting in this room naked. It's the craziest thing, and the guards can just walk by and check you out. Yeah.
What do they do for you in there to help you, or is it just like medicine. A timeout?
Yeah, it's a timeout. It's like, I think it's 72 hours most of the time, like 48 to 72 hours. You see a psychiatrist, they bring you medicine. I was already on a ton of meds, so they would always adjust my medicine at that point. They're not really helping anything. You know, what you need is a counselor. You don't need somebody to just slap medicine on you, but that's just
mass control.
Yeah,
it's the same way they do it when you're a kid and you're in the system, and it's just easier to control people that way, just by putting them on dope, you know, whatever you can get them on to at least
silence them.
I wasn't gonna say fix them, because that's definitely not the goal.
Yeah.
So wow, okay, let me think. So have you had a okay, I know another friend of mine, basically just about everybody that I'm friends with has had some sort of interaction, relationship, flirtationship with an officer.
Yeah.
Did you as well?
I did, yeah. And it was never physical, but it was definitely an emotional relationship, and would have been completely, I mean, was inappropriate and would have been problematic if it were found out. Yeah.
Do you find that now looking back that you were maybe just in a vulnerable spot, and that, or do you think you were genuinely attracted to this guy?
I think there was a genuine attraction there, because attraction is just attraction. Right. You know, it is what it is. But I also think that, I mean, a lot of the reason that I ended up in prison essentially is because I wanted to be loved and accepted. Right. All the stuff that I did leading up to trafficking drugs was to be accepted. I mean, from the time that I was a kid. So I think that followed me in there, and somebody was willing to give me attention, and I took it and gave the attention back. And it was, I mean, I don't think I was fooled into thinking like, I'm gonna get out, we're gonna be together. I don't think it was anything like that, but it was just, same with the relationships that I had in prison. It was just acceptance, you know. It was just, oh, somebody loves me, I have to hold on to this, you know. And then you lose that, and it's just trauma all over again, you know? So I do think that I was in a vulnerable place. It felt like it was really requited. Like, it was definitely a two-sided thing, but there was never any like, hey, I'm gonna hold you down when you get out, or it was never anything like that. But it was very emotional. Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel about the food in prison?
The food in prison. I like the coffee cake.
Oh!
Hey, let me get some coffee cake. Hey. You better cut that out. She's so weird. She makes me act like this. I'm like perfectly normal and reserved all the time, and she's just like real crazy.
Right.
Anyway, the food. Coffee cake was real good. I went through a vegetarian phase in there, so I ate a lot of peanut butter and had a lot of constipation.
Blessed Jesus.
Other than that, it was just nasty. Like, there were meals.
No flavor.
Yeah.
Put some seasoning on that stuff.
There were meals that I looked forward to, but I was in prison for 3 years. You
know?
That's
like,
what I
You
gotta have something to look forward to. Like Sunday morning, I'm gonna give me a piece of coffee cake with some oatmeal up on it. Don't judge.
Nasty.
Do not judge.
Nasty. You nasty.
Judging. She judged, and I feel real judged right now.
Why would you ruin your coffee cake?
No, it didn't ruin it. It's textures. I was a prison foodie. Guys. I had to cover my crunchy cake with my, what do you call oatmeal? Gooey?
Sloppity slop. That oatmeal was nasty too.
So how about the SOS?
Ooh.
No?
Are you talking about the snot?
No.
You're talking about the snot gravy.
Maybe, yeah.
Ew, it was white gravy, but it was a clear white gravy.
Clear white gravy.
With little specks of mystery meat in it. Boy, you know you was in prison. Would you eat that right now? Think about it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Lies. Caught her.
No, it was nasty.
Whatever.
It was real gross.
I didn't look forward to biscuit though.
The biscuits were good.
They made them homemade.
But I did put the stuff on top of it too, though.
You did?
I did, yeah. But see, it's a texture thing. It's like the cake with the gooey thing, the biscuit with the gooey thing.
But you know what? I ate almost everything nasty or not. I even ate them nasty behind cold, wet bologna sandwiches they would serve you. By the time they give you your sandwiches, I don't know what they do to them, but they're wet. They're soggy, like
because the stuff from the meat like soaks into the bread.
Yeah.
Tell you what though, on the work squad,
yeah,
they gave us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Ooh,
bustin'.
Yeah,
I couldn't go on the work
they were
squad.
real good.
I remember you'd come in the gate looking all dirty with your hat, and your long blonde hair. From working out there. Did you like doing the work squad?
I did. It was a weird experience though. So I got to leave after like we've already said, I was a troublemaker for the first 2 years that I was there. Have you ever talked about the hats? The hat color and all that.
Tell them.
When you come in
and you're in the
YO side, you have like these hats that tell you basically the kind of inmate that you are. So you're an orange hat for, well, you would know, maybe 6 weeks, 4 weeks. I probably have the number wrong, but you have an orange hat, and then you move on to a red hat, and then I think orange hat is. I don't remember that one, but if you have your red hat for 4 months with no DRs, write-ups, or CCs, girl, I used to get those all the time. So if you keep your red hat for 4 months, you get a blue hat. And if you keep your blue hat for a year, you get a white hat. And then you're like cream of the crop, right? Like you're feeling real good at that point. So I would go from, but then if you psych out and you leave, you get in a fight, you leave, you come back in an orange hat. So I was in an orange hat, I would get my red hat, 2 weeks later, go back from a yellow hat to an orange hat. So yellow hat was, you'd have a DR write-up or whatever. So basically like they could determine who you were, how long you'd been there, even if they didn't know you just by the color of hat that you were wearing. The blue hats were trusted. I eventually did make it to a blue hat. So after having orange, red, yellow, orange, red, yellow, orange, red, yellow for a period of time. I kept my red for a really long time. After I became a believer, it was like, I don't want to mess this up anymore. I want to do things the right way, and started to change a lot. So ended up with my blue hat. Where was that? What was the point of the hats? Like I was talking about something.
I know you were talking about going out the gate.
That's right, yes. So you could not leave unless you were a blue hat. It was a privilege, right? So I made it to the work squad, and we would leave the prison every morning. We would go, if you've ever seen
Monday through Friday,
yeah. If you've ever seen the teams of inmates along the road, like we didn't pick up trash. We might have picked up trash a couple of times, but we had these massive weed whackers that were like, I mean, I can't even show you how big the handles were inside of this screen here. Massive weed whackers, and they'd pick like a 1/4 mile ditch wide, and we would just walk up and down that thing, all 5 of us in a row, just rah, rah, all day, just doing really crazy physical manual labor in summer in Florida in 102-degree weather, whatever. We had to go out when it was cold too. When it was cold and there wasn't grass, it would just be like, they had to find stuff to keep us busy. Now, I will say that the officer that took us out was amazing. He was a believer. He was so kind and so encouraging. He laughed with us. He talked with us. He told stories. He definitely kept it very professional.
Oh, he didn't bring you in no candy or anything?
No.
Drop you a Jolly Rancher every now and then?
No, he was a rule follower for sure. He was a rule follower.
Which was square.
Kind of like me. Would you say
right?
That? Girl.
Oh,
try me. You don't know me.
Rude.
You do not know me. Anyway, so he was cool. So it was a better experience just because of that, but it was weird because we would go out to the poop plant, like the water reclamation facility, which we called the poop plant because it smelled like poop. We would go and eat our lunch there. That was kind of like our main base. There was this other house that we would go to, like the outside grounds house, or I don't remember what we called it, but we'd eat our lunch there. We would be out driving around in public. We would be in public places, and we would not be able to talk to anybody. You can look at anybody, you can talk to anybody. There were times, man, there was one time I was already a Christian. Christian, and we're walking up and down this thing. I think we had to pick up trash before we mowed so that the trash wouldn't fly everywhere. So we're walking, and this car throws a pack of Newports out the window. I see it, I open it up, there's a joint in there.
Oh.
Girl. How y'all gonna test the Jesus in me? That's all I gotta say. There was another person on the team with me.
You know how much you could have sold that for on Compound?
No, girl, I would have smoked it all the way.
Bro, that would have been $100 all day long.
I'm not a bit. I'm not a bit.
I'm a hustler though.
I would have been. Yeah, I'm not a hustler. I was a pothead. So I mean, like, I wasn't thinking, ooh, I can make some money with this. And I didn't have no money anyway. But I was like, I'm gonna go smoke this. So there was a girl on the thing with me that saw me open it up, and she's like, Lexi, don't do it. She stopped me from doing it.
Snitch in my hand.
No, she didn't snitch.
I know.
But she would, like, girl, you know how I am though. I would have told on myself. I would have smoked it. I would have gone out in the field, smoked it, and then come up and told an officer and ratted on myself. You know how I roll. It would have been real bad. So anyway, stuff like that happened. People would throw cigarettes out, but the officers that were out there watched like hawks to make sure. I found a Coke baggie one time, like an empty Coke baggie. Girl, it was hard. It was hard. I mean, I was an addict. I wasn't just like recreational drug user. Every drug that I did, except weed, different category, different story for a different day, but every drug that I ever did just completely took over my life. I mean, I lost jobs, I lost friends, my family kicked me out. I mean, it was like when you think of addiction, that's what it was for me. It was whatever I can do to get my next fix, whatever I can do. So that stuff was really tempting for me. It wouldn't have been like just some rando, you know, picking it up and going, oh, I'm not worried about this. I wrestled over that kind of stuff, but you get in a lot of trouble. It's an extra federal offense.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just go to lock, you can get charged again. And I would have been on the work squad before I got a blue hat. And I guess this is the reason that they do that. They want to know that you're trustworthy, right? You have to be good for a long time for them to trust you with this. But if I would have gone out on the work squad before I had changed, I probably would have ended up with more charges, running off. I mean, who knows, you know? Like, at this point I was like, I think I had a year and 3 months left or something like that. So I just didn't want to mess it up, but it was tempting. There was really tempting stuff. Men looking at you, I mean, like, it was weird to get to go out there every day, but still have to come back to the prison every day. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you have any relationships with women while you were in there?
I did.
Although I know the answer to that.
Yes.
Where did the YOs do things at on that side?
So,
she got out and tattooed my name down her flip-flopping arm. And I'm like, girl,
I don't know.
I didn't even give you none of this. I didn't even give you none of these lips.
She was a stud?
We are nothing more than dust.